Hello and welcome everyone to a very special episode of a Better Magic podcast. This is episode 13 and I'm joined today by my good buddy Nick. Say hi, Nick.
Hello, everyone.
So what's new, Nick? We're kind of in this weird in-between world that you and I have been talking about for a couple of weeks where, we're done with Dragons of Tarkir, right? Modern Masters 2015 hit, and it was kind of a flash in the pan, and, most people could only afford to draft it a couple times, but there's still this weird lull period between now and the last core set of all time, which is going to be Magic Origins, kind of at the end of July, which is like super weird. So now we're kind of in limbo, right? Magic limbo. What have you been up to, man? What's new with you?
Well, if you guys listened to our last podcast, I sounded extremely sick, and you probably heard me sniffling throughout it. But I'm doing much better now. I'm not coughing as much, and I'm still sort of sick, but not really. Just a little like cough here and there. But besides that, I've just been grinding Puka trying to get some points and trying to get some good stuff for the cube.
That's good, man. You do sound way better. I mean, it's unfortunate you don't get to bring along your kind of sportscaster, into the world of apocalyptic movie speaker voice anymore. But I mean, you sound good. It's good to have it's good to have a healthier sounding you than someone who has to kind of slog through a 60-minute podcast. So that's really good.
Which is sort of weird, but like all of the big time Magic podcasters have all been getting sick recently.
I noticed
Um,
that.
I know like LSV was sick around the same time we podcasted, and then this past week I know Marshall is now starting to get sick. So
Hmm.
so it's just a matter of time before you get sick now.
No, don't say that. I'd hate being sick. That would be that's a nasty curse to put on me. That's not very fair at all. Yeah. So okay. So you talked about Puka trade. I know you've been having a lot of success there, and with some other stuff in finance, right?
Yeah, I did sell off one of my big specs on, so I was very happy with the return and overall just happy in general.
That's awesome, man. I want to save that for a little bit when we get into kind of the finance half of the show because I know you've just been totally grinding it out and doing a really really awesome job at it and seeing some really powerful returns. And I think it's really cool for our listeners to kind of follow your adventures week after week. And you have yet to not have major success, right? I mean, it, it, as the listeners, if they go back through the episodes, like there really hasn't been a time where you've been like, oh my goodness, I spent like $200 to make, $50. Like you've always been turning a profit. So that's super exciting.
And the thing about like that is just like you don't force it. You don't try and force a spec in hopes of it successful. You do have to do your research. We'll get more into it later on the podcast.
Awesome. So yeah, so before we do any of that, I'm gonna walk through the docket here so we can kind of talk about what you guys can look forward to. This is a decision point. This is something that I want to talk about real quick that I like doing as part of our show. Is if you don't want to listen to us, don't listen to us. I'm not gonna make you sit through listening to Nick and I talk back and forth about these topics if you're not interested in them. I mean, we would love to have you guys stick around, but we're not going to hide anything from you guys. So I think kind of walking through this docket is always one of the most important things that we do on this cast. So yeah, so to get into it, one of the first things we're going to do is really take a deep dive and a deep look into this new great last core set of all time that Wizards of the Coast is calling Magic: The Gathering Origins. So about 8 months ago or so, they Wizards of the Coast announced that they were going to be done developing core sets from here on out, except for the one that was going to launch here in July. So what they're doing is they're using this core set built like any other core set to kind of relaunch the Magic brand and give you all the information about their new cast of planeswalkers, their new cast of characters that represent all the different colors of Magic, and and so we just want to walk through some of the cards that have already been spoiled and what you guys can look forward to as far as what looks to be a really cool limited environment and making the most out of that and making the most out of your pre-release and hopefully from there on out, if you jam Magic the Gathering online and try to win there or just at your local F&M, we want to make sure that we're providing you with the content to help you be the best you can be and improve your game. So I'm really excited to talk through that set. And then kind of the second half of the show, we really want to touch on the fact that Magic the Gathering finance, so the financial aspect of the game, how the secondary market kind of acts as an ecosystem. We want to walk you through that and some of the crazy things that have been going on, so you can always, continue to make your game as affordable as it can be. And there's a lot of passionate debate on both sides of that, from collectors and from buyers, from people who play the game, from people who sell the game. And I'd like to take, this time, because Nick and I, I would like to think have a pretty good idea what the heck is going on. And I want to make sure we walk you guys through, really, really what is going on, so you can be as well as informed as possible, kind of playing around in that environment. So, and at the end of that, again, Nick, I really do want you to kind of walk the audience through the successes you've had, so they can kind of learn from your example, because I think that's extremely important. So.
I think that's a great thing that we can do and what we can offer. And I hope that I make some mistakes because, to others that could be a great learning experience.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, you haven't really made any yet, man. So we'll see. But yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, it's awesome to use this podcast also as a place to kind of chronicle that kind of activity, and to really use it as a research tool. And it's so cool that we can provide something like that. Um, okay, man. So before we talk about moving on and progressing, let's talk about kind of this weird lull period that we've been bashing on for the last couple of weeks. I mean, we are still in an age where, before Magic Origins launches, people have to draft Dragons of Tarkir at their F&M, right? I mean, that's where we are.
Yeah, it's we're sick of dragons, and like we bashed on this last podcast that we were, why did they make such a huge separation between dragons and Magic Origins, and just sort of like a spoiler alert, not a lot of Origin spoilers are really that great right now. I'm more looking forward to the video game than the cards themselves. We'll just leave it as that.
Oh, really? See, I think the opposite. I think Origins actually has some really cool looking stuff. But we'll get deeper into that. But you're right, man. It sucks to be in this lull, and I know we say it every week. But you know what? We're here for the fans, so I'm gonna crack this booster pack so they can learn. Every single booster pack is another data point that can help you make good, informed decisions about playing limited. You know what I mean? And if we can add to that pool of knowledge, then that is on us to do. So let's get to it. Are you ready?
Before we do start,
Okay.
why don't you tell us who's funding this podcast?
That's a great point. Our podcast is actually being brought to you by our new TCG player store, Better Magic. So that's all one word. You can actually find us as a vendor on TCG Player if you want to buy some of the cards that we have in stock. We really appreciate it. We have very competitive prices right now because we have to kind of level up as a shop. But all of those dollars, go to making this something that we can provide to you. Go to buying, the booster packs for Crack a Pack, all that kind of stuff. So we really, really appreciate your patronage. And of course, you can find us on Twitch and on YouTube, and all of those things help as well. But yeah, if you want to go to TCG Player and buy some stuff from the vendor Better Magic, we really appreciate it. And that's another great point. We also have a brand spanking new set of logos coming up that's going to be slapped all over our stuff, and they look awesome. They look really, really, really good. So we're able to kind of get all of our branding together and kind of homogenize it and put it all in one place, and kind of standardize the way we look. And I'm super excited about that too. So thanks for reminding me. Yeah, that is a huge deal. All right, are you ready for this crack pack?
Unfortunately, I am.
Unfortunately, no, I feel the exact same way, dude. Okay, so we are sitting down at a table with 7 of our best friends drafting Dragons, Fate Reforged, and we are going to open up pack number 1 for pick number 1 for what is probably going to be our red-black or blue-black deck. So, there we go. Uh, Nothing quite beats that new pack smell, man. I feel like it always smelled better, like when I was younger. Like I recognize the smell, but I also brings back memories of how much like stronger that smell was when I was younger. I don't know if that means like I'm older, my nose doesn't work as well, or like I don't know, but it smells so good, dude.
I honestly liked opening the Modern Masters packs.
Really?
I loved the sound of it.
Yeah, the sound was cool. You know, I'll give you that. It was so tactile. You know, there was so it was like a sound shaker, man. It was like when you know folded up a paper plate with some beans in it when you were in kindergarten and shook it around. Like that's literally what it sounded like. So
Like I couldn't keep a straight face whenever I opened a pack. Like it just made me laugh for some reason.
they're awesome. All right, so we're gonna assume as we're walking through this pack that you guys know what these cards do, and I'm really only gonna read the ones. Same disclaimer I always say that I'm only gonna read the ones that actually matter, and that we care about in this pack. So okay, let's get to it. Dromical Warrior. It's a 3-1 for 2, and that's it. So probably not, right? That's not a very exciting
Yeah.
first pick.
I would feel bad for picking it.
Always. Wandering Tomb Shell. Nah, that can't ever be a first pick. Here we go. Sabertooth Outrider.
I like a lot.
This
It's
card's great.
definitely up for contingent.
There's so many tricky things you can do with this formidable trigger too. Like it's a 4/2 for 3 colors and a red, and has trample. So that's already good. Like a 4/2 with trample for 4 is actually quite good at common. But then with formidable, if you have 8 total power or greater on the board, if you attack with this guy, it puts a trigger on the stack that gives it first strike in addition to its trample. So so there's some really interesting things you can do, like move to beginning of combat and then like make something bigger when they weren't expecting it, or like, or if they're trying to like bounce guys, you know, make this guy bigger before you attack. There's all sorts of really cool things this card kind of opens up as far as what the heck is going on in the battlefield. So I like that card a lot. That'll stay out. Dromica Dunecaster. I have never cast this card.
Ironic for a Dune caster.
Yeah, for a Dunecaster, I have never cast it. And I think the card is utter trash, so we're gonna go past that. If you'll notice as we walk through some of the origin stuff, Magic or Wizard of the Coast has been printing the cards that do this kind of effect. So 1 white for a 0/2. If you play a colorless and a white and tap it, you tap target creature without flying. There's a lot of different versions of this. The decoy, all the different decoys were actually too powerful and were way too under cost. So now they just make bad versions of them. So whatever. But anyways, you'll notice that that's kind of a recurring theme. Durgar Nemesis, no thank you. Sheltered Airy, no thank you. Um, Naturalize, good sideboard card, but definitely not something I would ever first pick, right? Duress. Okay, let me soapbox on Duress for a second, okay? People think Duress is a playable card in draft, and it's just not. Okay, so Duress is 1 black for a sorcery that says target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card for it. That player discards that card. Okay, great. So you spent this 1 card, right, at sorcery speed, mind you. So you in your deck that only has 40 slots, really only has 23 slots, you spent 1 card slot, one of those slots for a 1 mana spell that at best gets a removal spell. Okay? So when you could have played, excuse me, literally anything except for this card, literally any creature you could have played and it would have had the same effect. But you know why playing a creature over Duress is better? Because if you play a creature and they don't have the removal spell, you're attacking. Okay, so you attack their life total for 2 damage, 3 damage, 1 damage, whatever. You're attacking them and you're getting closer to winning the game. Right? And if they want to get rid of it, guess what they have to use? They have to use that piece of removal that you thought you were going to get with Duress anyways, okay? So it is always strictly better to play a creature than to play Duress. And whenever someone says, oh, I have this 1 Duress in my deck, and I point at it and say, that needs to not be in your deck, and they try to come up with some excuse as to why they're going to play Duress, like just think about that scenario, you know, that I just laid out. There is never a good reason to use Duress. Now, in Sealed, that's a little different. In Sealed, like, you can wait a little bit longer to fire off your Duress, and maybe you'll play 1 to, like, maybe get their big bomby, like, supplant form or something. Like, maybe. That's not even that great. But,
Nine times 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna like you're gonna be disappointed with what you end up taking.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you're not even going to hit anything, right?
And that 1 out of 10 is like you feel mediocre about
Yeah, it's
taking.
like great. I got like a Harrow or something. It's just not good. Anyways, that's my soapbox. But just don't ever play Duress, please. Okay, Ancestral Statue. No, thank you. Dunecaster Mage. Okay, that guy's reasonable. Like I'll put him aside. The guy's reasonable. He's not bad. The best play in Dragons of Tarkir Limited, the most powerful turn 3 play is turn 2 Lightwalker, turn 3 Sandcrafter Mage. I mean, that's just how it is. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's something. Okay, this is getting interesting. Draconic Roar. Instant speed, one colorless, one red. As an additional cost to cast Draconic Roar, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. Draconic Roar deals 3 damage to target creature. If you revealed a dragon or controlled a dragon when you cast this card, it deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. So that's interesting. I think it's a very solid piece of removal, and I like it. I'll pull it out here. Beltol Dragon is one of the 2 dragons that I would play, but I don't think I would ever first pick it. Or excuse me, one of the 2 Megamorph dragons that I would play, but I'm not going to first pick it.
That's the blue one, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's one that has hexproof. A 3/3 flyer with hexproof, and if you flip it up, it's a 4/4 flyer with hexproof. Um, Aven Sunstriker. I'll pull that one aside too. That's a Megamorpher for 1 white white, and it's a 1/1 flyer with double strike. But if you can Megamorph it up for 4 colorless and a white, so essentially becomes a 2/2 double striker. It's pretty okay. I'm gonna pull it aside. Ooh, and a Descent of the Dragons.
Hmm.
That card's very interesting. So.
It is. I've yet to really see it like played and limited in it like not hurting that person.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the card is very interesting because it is actually symmetrical, or it has the ability to be symmetrical. It's a card that can go wide or just help you out, or but it never really gets you ahead because it's dependent on you having creatures. So that already in my book takes it way 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 down the totem pole. But I'm gonna pull it aside here too. Okay, so we're looking at a pack with playable red and white cards. So we've got Sabertooth Outrider, Draconic Roar, Aven Sunstriker, Sandcrafter Mage, and Descent of the Dragons. What card do you like?
I think I would take the removal. It's really close between that and the trampler, the 4/2 trample, Sabertooth
I agree
Outrider.
500%. I'm with you right there too. Yeah.
Um, because in the end, like the removal can get rid of anything, whereas the Sabretooth really just trades with the morph essentially.
Totally. Yep.
Unless you have formidable trigger or it just dies to twin bolt, So I like it better, and that you could have the one chance where you have a dragon in your hand.
Yeah, and it's just pure upside at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Yeah, I totally agree. For me, it's Draconic Roar, then Sabertooth Outrider for sure, and then I think it's Sandcrafter Mage.
I would actually probably pick the 1/1 double strike flyer
The only
after.
reason, the only reason I wouldn't do that, I thought about that too. I think they're on the same power level essentially in this pack, but the reason I wouldn't is because it's double white. And like
Yeah.
on 3, if I'm playing it, I'm just playing colorless 2/2, whereas this guy for the same amount of mana is a 3/3 or distributes a 1/1 counter somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather take the Vigilant Kieran that's in white that gives flying.
Oh God, yeah, that would be a
I'd
great
take
pick
that
here.
over it, but like
Yeah,
I still like the 2/2 because when you're in
sure.
white, at least you have like quite a few pieces of pump spells.
You're still investing 8 mana over 2 different turns though to make a 2/2 double striking flyer.
Yeah, I mean it's close. They're
I think
they're
it's really
they're
close.
nearly on the same. I just for some reason like the flyer white flyers better.
Yeah, I mean it does have the evasion, but I don't know, man. That I think I wouldn't fault anyone either way on that one. And then the Descent of the Dragons is probably going to go after all those playable cards. So the interesting thing, the super sweet secret tech with Descent of the Dragons, for those of you who are interested, I'll just read the text of the card here because I know I didn't before. 4 colorless, red, red, for a sorcery, destroy any number of target creatures. Okay, so you have to have creatures to target on the battlefield to cast it. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller, okay? Its controller puts a 4/4 red dragon token with flying onto the battlefield. So this is a really interesting card. If you're in the deck that play like the dedicated red, splashing some other color dash deck, so you have a bunch of cards that don't really scale well in the late game. So you have a bunch of 2/1s, a bunch of 3/2s, and sometimes even like multiple 1/1s with dragon fodder. Okay, and then all of a sudden your opponent's casting like a 4/5 and a 5/4 and a 3/4 and a 3/3, right? And you have the same amount of creatures on each side, but yours are like super outclassed. Then this becomes like the most interesting top deck of all time, right? Because you rip it off the top, and if you cast it for 6, you can turn all of their creatures and all of your creatures into 4/4s. So you've essentially wrathed the board at that point. Is that fascinating?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the only downside behind this very unique card is the fact that getting to 6 can be tough. Um,
Oh, it's really, and in red too. Do you
yeah,
even want to?
double. Yeah, like on turn 6 in red, I mean, you're already just hoping to win the game,
Yeah,
or at
yeah,
least
exactly.
be at a point where you're literally just dashing in your really powerful dashers.
Right, and you're just so far ahead at that point that you just really need to be attacking with dudes and removing um, their guys and saving your guys with combat tricks. Yeah, no question. All right, so let's kind of do a deep dive into the newest and last core set of all time from Wizards of the Coast for the game Magic: The Gathering, uh, which they're calling Magic Origins. So every core set in Magic, just to do a little background, um, has essentially been for a long, long, long time. It was a collection of all the different cards that they wanted to reprint, and there were no new cards. Okay, and then in 2010, Aaron Forsythe, kind of headed up the team, and he said, "This is stupid. Why can't we print new cards and core sets? If this is the beginner intro version of the game, we should always be including cards. When we have spots that need to be filled that are really catered to newer players and to give them kind of the overall Magic experience." So they did that for a while, and then they realized it was very difficult for them to get on the kind of production schedule that they wanted to be on, and Magic: The Gathering was having such a great rate of adoption. Core sets weren't really panning out to be where new players went to experience the game. It just that just wasn't. It was no longer meeting that need because now they have other games. I think you and I talked earlier, like Magic: The Gathering, Duels of the Planeswalkers, right? So there's very introductory level video games and other forms of interactive media to really teach new players how to play that a core set just is superfluous, right? It no longer meets those needs. So they've come out and said it's going to be way better for us to just make what used to be called expert level expansions because they were truly, all the different blocks, Theros, Ravnica, Innistrad, Mirrodin, all of those were actually just expansions to the quote-unquote base core game of Magic: The Gathering, right? So we think about traditional board games, it was very much designed and developed that way. But the brilliant people at Wizards of the Coast said, well, that's dumb. This is just how we're making Magic now. We don't need this anymore. We're just going to make more expansions than ever, make them awesome, not have this bloated core set. Um, but the really exciting thing is now that they've had that kind of paradigm shift, they've decided to spend this last published core set as a way to kind of reinvigorate and relaunch their brand and their brand identity and their brand story. So that means launching Magic: The Gathering Origins as truly an origin story for the planeswalkers that represent the 5 different colors of Magic, right? So these are humanoid characters that the new Magic: The Gathering audience overall can identify with, which is something that Magic in the past was lacking forever and ever and ever. For the last 20 years, there weren't really characters that people cared enough to get invested in, to like cosplay as, to say, oh, I'm Jace for sure, like I identify with him, or oh, I'm Gideon, I identify with the things he does in his color. Like there was never that before, and now there is that, and now they're playing that up. And of course this is also in preparation for developing something like a movie, right? You can't just like make a movie based on your brand if no one knows what the heck the elements of your brand are or the backstory of your brand, is. and this is their way of wiping the slate clean, tabula rasa, um, and really growing this story and this brand. So I hope I did that justice. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you hit it pretty clearly and pretty concise.
Okay, sweet. Because it's really exciting. Like as a marketing guy and as a branding guy and as a storyteller, like I think it's awesome. I think this is a fantastic idea. I mean, I think on the outside, if you don't know how this kind of stuff works, then it might just seem like a weird decision. But I promise you, I assure you, the people who are doing this are brilliant and know what the heck they're doing, and this is what needs to happen for the game. So that was me fanboying a little bit and kind of giving them kudos, but I'm really glad that's what's happening. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes and how the future goes for the structure of these sets.
yeah, what's super interesting too is, like I said, we're getting to see 5 different sort of main players, right, main characters who are planeswalkers, and how they went from their home planes and kind of their spark ignited very much in the way in old Magic planeswalkers were all these different kind of quote unquote named characters, right? The characters who were myths and legends and omnipotent, truly. And what happened is, some crazy thing happened in their life and their spark ignited, right? And that turned them into a planeswalker that could travel to all these different planets in the multiverse. That was the old Magic story. So they've gotten rid of like all of that stuff, like literally all of that stuff, except for the fact that planeswalkers still like have a spark. Like something crazy happens in their life and they can go to other planets, essentially. Like that's the kind of the dumbed down version of it. But anyway, so what we're seeing in Magic the Gathering Origins on all the different cards and the planeswalker cards themselves is um, are representations of the characters' home worlds, which is really cool. So you see like for Nissa, for instance, she's from Zendikar and she goes somewhere else. I don't remember where she planeswalks to, but a lot of these cards reference places in Zendikar, right? Because we're kind of looking through her eyes, looking at some of these cards, and it's really, really, really cool. I think maybe she goes to Lorwyn because there are also Lorwyn cards here, or Lorwyn, creatures and allusions to the different geographic areas in Lorwyn. So the fact that they've done that, just alone is like super cool. Like it's just dripping with flavor, and I think Magic: The Gathering Origins is really going to be a home run flavor wise. Let alone that some of these mechanics just look super cool, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the new mechanics and some of the existing ones. If that is what it is, I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, Mark Rosewater, who's one of the the lead designer at Wizards of the Coast for Magic: The Gathering, um, released kind of a list of the things that they're going to do in this core set as far as the returning abilities. Because again, something about core sets is they make sure to include all of what they call the evergreen mechanics. So those are the mechanics that you see basically on all cards in every set all the time. And part of a core set is, or was, I should say, to introduce all of those mechanics. So if you're a new player, this is the set that you buy so you can learn how all those mechanics work, basically. Um, so we have all the basics. We have Death Touch, Lifelink, Trample, Flying, First Strike, Reach. Um, uh, like those are basically the ones that we see all the time, right? What's really exciting and new though is in this core set on the blue and the red cards in particular, we have 2 brand new evergreen mechanics. So one of the things about Magic the Gathering is for years and years and years and years, um, one of the ways they design cards is to have them kind of work with the other colors of Magic. So cards that are allied, like on the back of a Magic card, if you look at the 5 different orbs, the 5 different colors of Magic, ones that are next to each other are allied, and ones that are not touching are enemies. And so they try to keep a balance between kind of those different mechanics we were just talking about that each of those pairs of two share. And it was super super difficult for them forever and ever and ever to figure out what the heck red and blue were going to share, right? Because they're so opposite, they're so diametrically opposed. It was so difficult for them to figure out. Um, But now we've got these two brand new quote unquote evergreen mechanics that we're going to see on cards from here on out. Um, that are on, both that are actually going to be on all, and to some extent in all the different colors of Magic, but mostly on uh, blue and white, red and blue, and black and red. So the first one is Menace. So this is what has been known forever as the Goblin War Drums mechanic. Have you ever played the card Pyre Heart Wolf? Or so it's what Menace says is any creature with Menace can only be blocked by two or more creatures. So it can't be blocked by just one creature, right? And then green is kind of outside of this. It can't get Menace really because green is the color that cares about. Um, it's interesting the way the tooltip works is green always says this creature can only be blocked by one creature, right? So green has the exact opposite. So it's interesting that for green hasn't been keyworded yet, but blue and red get the new menace mechanic, and of course it's going to replace the old intimidate mechanic, which intimidate itself was an upgrade of fear. So I mean, there's all these weird layers to it, but I think menace is a cool way to just kind of again wipe the slate clean. Excuse me, and give us a really clean mechanic for dealing with creatures to give them kind of pseudo evasion.
Yeah, I like it too. It's very interesting. It's just you see things start just to get upgraded, mechanics over time. So I guess we'll find out if this mechanic's possibly too strong, or we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, you're right. That mechanic has always been good. I mean, you remember Stormblood Berserker?
Yeah,
Stormblood Berserker nowadays, its new errata diversion would say one colorless, one red, Bloodthirst 2, Menace, and
yeah,
it's a 1/1, right? Which that card is bonkers.
yeah,
If you've had a chance to play Modern Masters 2015, it's in there, but it was also in M11, I believe, and that card was just so sweet. But now to
yeah.
think that they can it's a lot easier for them to put it on more cards because they don't have to spell all that crap out. Like, yeah, this mechanic is really good. And they're also the problem with Fear was that it only worked with black creatures. Like it was literally templated to only work with black creatures. So they're like, well, that sucks. Let's give it to every creature and then call it Intimidate. Well, the thing that sucked about that is it's really difficult to figure out like if colorless things can block or not because they're not artifacts, and if colorless things have Intimidate, like they've just become unblockable, and it's just like it's really confusing, and it's very difficult for new players to figure out. So they were just like, screw that. Intimidate's really weird. We don't even use Fear anymore. What the heck can we use on red and black cards that can kind of clean up this slot? And I think Menace is really a really cool way to clean that up.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah, I think it goes great in specifically red and black
Oh,
too.
for sure, exactly. Because the beautiful thing about the mechanic in those colors is, you're never getting guys in red or black that really give you a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, they're always going to be like 2/1s or 3/2s, maybe like 1/2 or 2/1 flyers in black that maybe do something but probably don't, or have like haste and can't block, for instance. And menace is a good way to just kind of let those creatures be a little bit more impactful in the long game, which is a really big deal. I mean, red's not supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, you are at a place where you can race with a card like this new card, Bogart Brute, which is a 3/2 for 3 in red that has menace, right? Like, if all of a sudden you've gotten far enough ahead, but now you can't get through their one, Vastwood Gorger, which is a 5/6 for 6, but it's the only creature they have, then Bogart Brute actually becomes a pretty decent top deck because now you
Yeah.
all of a sudden you can start racing them again. And although Intimidate did allow for that, for instance, it's just way too confusing. It takes up way too much space. So I think again, this is a very clean way to get red and black kind of back into the game. Now that Magic has become much more of a mid-rangey kind of card game.
Which I think is ironic because in Dragons, like, what was the most strongest colors? Red and black.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then you throw this mechanic out, and
Oh,
it's like we're gonna keep that power level. So I can only hope that the rest of the colors are going to be more balanced than dragons.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty of a core set too. I mean, that's the beauty of Magic Origins in general is that the power level is always pretty stable and across the board. And I know people complain about core sets, but honestly, I have the most fun drafting core sets, like over anything. Like I love them. I think they're fantastic. So.
I think the only downside about me drafting core sets was that I was never really drafting when Birds was still being reprinted in every set. So I'm sad about that.
Oh yeah, just because you don't have any in your collection.
No, I don't have any. I have one Birds, but that's it. I'd love to get my hands on some more Birds.
Oh yeah, dude, those were the days. But anyway, so yeah, so Menace is a cool evergreen mechanic, and that's one of the new ones that's going to be on cards from here on out. The other one, which I thought was super interesting, is the prowess mechanic from Khans of Tarkir and Fate Reforged, which this is a mechanic that we first saw in the Jeskai clan in Khans of Tarkir and in Fate Reforged. And Wizards of the Coast design and development liked this mechanic so much that they said, well, heck, why don't we just keep it forever? It's pretty easy to template, and it's not that confusing, and it's very powerful, and it's a good way to let these creatures that are usually kind of overcosted for bad stats kind of keep up, in the race with like green, for instance, which just always gets bang for its buck. Um, and I thought that was really smart. So now we're going to see the prowess mechanic. And what it does is it says any creature that has prowess says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, so an instant or a sorcery or an artifact or a planeswalker or an enchantment. There's a bunch of things that trigger prowess. This creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So what it does is it lets you build these decks that have creatures that maybe don't look that good on the surface, but when you're building a deck in colors where you want to play more spells like red and blue and white in particular, you get to play more spells and not feel as bad about it because it just keeps making your creatures bigger and bigger, as you cast them and as you're affecting the board. So I think it's a really very elegant solutions to some of the problems that blue and red in particular had when working together. So.
I think it's interesting that Prowess is back, but yet there's a card in white that is almost the exact opposite. Whenever Valor in Akros, whenever a
Oh
creature
yeah.
enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+1. So it's
Oh
like
my god, dude. Yeah. The
so,
card just
so
looks so sick. Oh my god.
it's just interesting that they're sort of going, they're sort of bouncing between which one. And that could mean that blue and white may be a favorable pair.
I mean, that's the beauty of core sets is that blue white, is always one of the best decks because it's just blue white flyers. I mean, in every core set ever, that's just been, one of the decks that you want to try out first just to see if it's any good. This is also, they're also looking to make um, this, you can obviously tell they're looking at constructed with this card. I mean, there's been such a thing as a white weenie strategy since, 1994, right? And this card just plays beautifully into that strategy, and people love making these kind of decks. Um, yeah, this card's bonkers, dude. Valor and Akros. But you're right, it is kind of silly that, like, okay, so imagine having a bunch of creatures of prowess, okay? And then you play this card, and then you play a creature. Okay, so you trigger all your prowess dudes with this card, and then you play another creature, and then it triggers all your dudes again. Or, I mean, it doesn't trigger all your dudes again, but it gives them all +1/+1. That's super ridiculous. That's like the mega dream.
So like all of a sudden you're like higher picking Aven skirmishers just for Valor and Akros triggers.
Oh, yeah, that would be a whole deck. I mean, this is
Yeah.
what they call a build around me uncommon, and they've been lacking some of these in recent sets, but I know design and development really like when they're crafting limited environments. Uncommon is the place where you want these cards that aren't like super amazing, but aren't backbreaking on their own, but provide really cool kind of linchpins for entire limited decks. And Valor and Akros is no question a build around me
I
uncommon.
like it. It reminds me of the Black Enchantment from Dragons. I forget. You love to play it.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? So it's interesting. So like I said, they've been kind of lacking in these build around me uncommons, and there weren't pretty much any in Dragons of Tarkir except for Deadly Wanderings. Yeah, that card was amazing. I think this card's better than that card though. But oh my god, dude. Yeah, this is gonna be really cool to build around that card. Um, yeah,
They
can't wait.
buffed up defeat too, if you've noticed in black.
Oh, Reef Soul.
Yeah, it's like a buffed up version of defeat.
It is. I mean, that's also the cool thing about playing limited and just understanding limited environments is like that like defeat was correct where it needed to be, right? Like it needed to do what it did in that set, or else it would have been too powerful if it did anything more, and it wouldn't have been good enough if it did anything less. And then we get a card like Reef Soul, which is the exact same, which is strictly better. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's one colorless and one black. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. So so it's really interesting to see how the power levels kind of shift up and down in between different limited environments. So something you need to think about is I've got here in the notes something that we call the magic number. So what the magic number means, this is we can do an entire podcast on the magic number, but I want to bring it up because I think it's actually really important just in this set from what I've seen so far. And the magic number is the number that the amount of damage that the general piece of removal needs to do in this set to be worth putting into your deck. Okay. Um, Anything less, and it's probably something you can bring in from your sideboard. Anything more, and you're probably paying too much for it. But if you can get a decent price that does enough damage or kind of hits creatures with that magic number, then you're in the money, right? Or if you have creatures that are trading for the magic number, then you're in the money. And from what I've seen, of course, we don't have very many cards at all. We have actually, it says 64, but we actually have quite a bit less than that because there's some of these extra printed cards here too. But point of the story is the magic number in Magic Origins looks to be 3 toughness. And it looks like creatures that are 4 toughness are going to cost you about 5 or more mana, which is correct. Like that's on curve. So 4 is where the game kind of goes into the later stages of the game, and to get your opponent to where you can start killing them in the earlier to mid stages of the game, you want your creatures to either deal 3 damage, to have 4 toughness, so they're outside of the 3 power range, or you want your removal to do at least 3 damage, or just be hard removal, clearly. But yeah, and yeah, that's awesome. I really like formats where 3 is the magic number because that's what we call lightning bolt formats. Like that's where creatures are starting to get really efficient. You're starting to see big swingy plays. You feel really good about pretty much every card you cast, um, and that really excites me. Like that's making this set look so exciting to me. Um, I can't wait to just be jamming some of these creatures, man.
Yeah, I think the format overall is looking fairly solid with the lack of spoilers right now out, and assuming that these spoilers are correct too. So
Yeah, that's true too. It just looks so sweet. I mean, like all your 3 mana guys either have 3 toughness or like affect the board in such a way to where they bring guys down to their level or kill creatures that have 3 toughness. Like, I mean, just really, really cool stuff. Of course, there's good old like Yeva's Force Mage is a good one. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+2 into turn. Of course, it's only a 2/2 for 3 mana, but it comes into play with a really good effect, right? So again, along that lines of knowing the number that you need to hit, if your creature doesn't necessarily get there, if it offers some other cool effect or another battlefield effect, then it's usually worth putting in your deck. Um, that's the other thing that I want to talk about, though. That's really a big theme of Magic Origins, um, is it looks like this set is predicated on enter the battlefield effects. So there's a ton of creatures that do a bunch of really cool things when they enter the battlefield. Like the vast majority of ones that we're looking at now have enter the battlefield effects. Um, which is sweet. So you need to be cognizant of the fact that your opponent's going to be playing a lot of creatures that can affect your board just by being played. and you should have creatures in your deck that affect your creatures positively or their creatures negatively with their enter the battlefield effects. So keep that in mind too. Like this is not going to be a format where you want to play vanilla creatures. I guess is that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, and it makes complete sense why the set's looking the way it is right now.
Yeah, it looks so sweet. I mean, you have the option to play like vanilla dudes, like Cobble Brood is something that's been spoiled. So that's a 5/2 for 4 in red. Like
But I feel
that's
like it's a
okay.
trap.
Yeah, that's just not even good. Like I'd rather just like I would obviously draft a Bogart Brute over that, right? The 3/2
Yeah.
Menace guy for 3, like for sure. Or you draft like Charging Griffin is infinitely better than a Cobble Brute. So this is a card that actually does meet the magic number test, but it doesn't look like it does on the surface. So if you guys remember Charging Griffin, it's a 2/2 for 4 with flying, which is like an okay rate. It's not that good. But whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So it becomes a 3/3 flyer for 4, essentially on your turn. And you couldn't ask for much better than that. So
I think another interesting thing is the card Fury Conclusion was reprinted. For,
fiery.
I mean, Fiery. For 1 and 1 red as an
Yeah, I love
additional
that
cost to
card, man.
play it, sacrifice a creature. It deals 5 damage to the target creature, which is essentially a better roast, I think. Actually, I don't know if I'd say it's better or not.
No, it's
It is,
definitely not better, dude. Any card that makes you lose a creature just is not better. Like
but
if
the fact that it's at instant speed doesn't that sort of make up for it?
nah,
I
collateral
mean,
damage is at instant speed. I mean,
I mean,
this is
it's like
just
it's
collateral
like,
damage is significantly better than this card.
but like I think of it as like a block sack, and then you just
Yeah,
kill something else.
sure. I mean, that's a fine way to do it too. But I mean, we have to be in a deck where we're okay just like throwing away dudes.
Yeah.
And I don't think there are as many of those decks as there are the number of times you're going to see a fiery conclusion. So,
Yeah.
but who knows? I mean, it's the card's reasonable, but nah. I actually haven't seen that much removal that gets me excited in this set yet. I mean, there's always claustrophobia. Claustrophobia is always fine. Lightning javelin's okay. Oh, that's the other returning mechanic. Before I forget, I almost forgot about this one. Is Scry is now an evergreen mechanic.
Yep.
Scry is now something that we're just gonna see on cards. They're not gonna be expansion specific. It's not gonna be something where they have to like make up this flavor reason for why your card has Scry. They've decided it's just enough of a thing that wizards do, I guess, that it's enough naturally magical that it can be on cards. So.
I like it. I never feel bad about playing a card with Scry Unlimited.
No, yeah, Scry's awesome. Scry is basically half a card,
Yeah.
um, and that's some significant card advantage. So let's talk about these planeswalkers. Let's talk about the actual marquee part of this set. Like the reason this set exists is to tell the origin story of these planeswalkers. So we've got Jace, who is from Vryn. We don't know anything about the world of Vryn, but everyone knows Jace because he's the Mickey Mouse of Magic. We've got Liliana. I don't remember where she's from, but it looks like she was originally a healer before she became a planeswalker. Um, we got Chandra, who's from Kaladesh, which is this kind of Middle Eastern flavored um, plane, and she looks really cool. It's her as like a little kid. And then Nissa, who we know is from Zendikar. We've seen her before. Um, and I can't remember what the heck the name of the place that she planeswalks from. And Gideon, who we now know is from the plane of Theros, which we just recently visited. And it looks like he was a child there, and he planeswalks into a man. And I think the first place he ever planeswalks to is Bant, which is very very interesting. That's kind of where he learns to be a knight. So the way Wizards is introducing these cards to us is as flip cards, kind of like how we saw them, or how we saw flip cards in the Innistrad block. So each of these are legendary creatures that you have to do something special. You have to meet some sort of special requirement, and then they flip over. And when they flip over, kind of like, I don't know if you ever played with Garruk Relentless. he flipped over. He was a planeswalker on both sides, but these are creatures that flip over into planeswalkers, and they look interesting. What's your take on it? I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, when we first saw Jace, Liliana was the first one. That was hyped. I mean, that was released many months ago. Like back when we were
Yeah,
still looking at Dragons of Tarkir spoilers, I think.
yeah, I
Um,
think that's right.
and like people thought she was pretty good. I mean, she's decent. I would probably put her as number 2 best planeswalker right now.
Sure.
Jace, it took a significant hit in, its last printing, and I thought they would make some way make Jace better in this set, but I'm sort of disappointed.
Yeah, his
um,
last printing was so underwhelming, and now we've got an
I
even
don't.
worse version.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd say. I don't know which one's worse between the two of them. But for someone that's quote being the Mickey Mouse of Magic, this is. I don't think this is how he should be represented.
I agree. Well, they're so scared, with printing a Jace the Mind Sculptor again that
Yeah.
they get weary about what they can actually do with a card like that to make it at least seem fun. So what they do is they supremely underpower Jace so they can give the other planeswalkers a little bit more spotlight. But it has really hurt
Done. Yeah.
him. And blue, as a color that plays planeswalkers, it just isn't that good.
Yeah. Chandra, getting her to flip is not easy at all. You essentially have to blow 2 red spells
Yeah.
just to flip her over, assuming that you tap her immediately. So I think she's okay. Nissa is, I think, a downgrade of Nissa Worldwaker. Um, and I think it's even further of a downgrade from Nissa Ravane. Um,
Sure.
but the just today we just saw the last one, Gideon, and I think it's safe to say that this one's the best of all 5.
Yeah, it's so strange. Like we've got these planeswalkers, right? And their creature sides like suck. Like the J side, you loot, but okay, so you pay 2 mana for a 0/2 legendary looter. 0/2, okay? He loots, but he can't attack. Like Merfolk Looter can at least attack, and it's like a decent attacker sometimes you need it to. Like he can't even do that. And then when he flips over, he just doesn't do anything. Like he makes a creature not as strong for a turn, or you can like flashback a card sort of, but then he like dies. Like ugh, dude, oh my god, like the card is just pretty bad. The Liliana, you're right, is decent. It's a 2/3 for 3 with lifelink, which is already like pretty okay actually. Um, if another non-token creature you control dies, she then flips into her planeswalker version. Oh, you also get a 2/2 zombie, so that's pretty good. And then she flips into her planeswalker version that makes your opponent discard a card, or you return a creature card to the battlefield with converted mana cost X, where X is a loyalty you paid. Some other cool stuff, like that's okay. The Chandra, you're right. You have to zap the opponent with her 3 times, so she taps. She pings them for 1. It's just really weird. And then her other side just doesn't even do anything. Like you can zap them for 2 damage or a creature for 2 damage. Like you either gain 1 loyalty to zap them or lose 2 loyalty to zap a creature. Like that's really bad. The Nissa is a 2/2 for 3, which is like okay. And then you rampant growth, which is like okay, ish.
Yeah.
And if you control 7 lands, then she flips over, and then she's basically just a downgraded version of Nissa Worldwaker. So I don't know. But so we slog through all that crap, and then we get this Gideon that's like legit.
Yeah.
Like the creature Gideon, the kid, is a 2/1 for 1 white, which is already like above the
Really
curve.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. When he attacks, if if he and 2 other creatures, so if he triggers Battalion basically, which is him and 2 other creatures attacking, and if he survives, um, then you flip him over. Oh, by the way, as he's attacking, he also on his creature card says 2 colorless and a white. You can pay at instant speed, and he gains indestructible. Like
Yeah.
as a creature, like That's a pretty good creature. Like, he's really good. That's fine.
Really good.
Then when he flips over, he's a 3 loyalty planeswalker that has +2 up to one target creature an opponent control attacks him. So it makes him fight him, right? Which is
Hmm.
great. Um, you can pay 0 to turn him into a 4/4 human soldier with indestructible that's still a planeswalker. That's really good. Or you give him +1 and until your next turn, any target creature gains indestructible, and you untap it. So it has
Hmm.
vigilance. Oh my god, this card is really good. You can tell they really wanted Gideon to be
Better.
they wanted him to be the marquee planeswalker of this set. I mean, he's fantastic. Like, this is actually a very 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 good card, and I don't know if there's any finance picks yet. I mean, I put that we didn't have any, but I mean, I would hoard your Gideons. I mean, the card looks good.
Yeah, getting it. My only thing is that a card that's obviously the best is probably going to get a high pre-release price.
Yeah, if you want to sell it, go for it. I don't think it's gonna be. I think you're gonna make your money on this guy if you rip him, like for sure.
Yeah, I think it's easily a $30 card.
Oh, hands down. Yeah, card's fantastic.
But I think that's the only one that's really worth specking on or even talking about at this point in time. We're not even a fourth of the way through.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you 100%. We have a lot to see. They have a lot more to surprise us with. So
And coming up on Friday would be 1 month. So uh,
so here we go.
yeah, so it's there. I mean, last spoiler set they really sort of waited a little bit longer. They waited till like 3 weeks, and this one they've started at like 5 weeks. So
It's good. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's a big set too. There's
yeah,
272 cards. That's quite a lot.
yeah,
Okay, so I think we've done enough. I think we've really hit all the things that I wanted to talk about Magic Origins. You know, like I said, there might be more flip cards. I don't know if they've said anything officially about that, so it's something else to keep an eye on. There might be commons and uncommons that also flip, but who knows? Right now, the only thing we have is the fact that there's cool under the battlefield effects. The removal looks decent so far. 3 looks to be like the magic number, and there are some crappy planeswalkers and one good one. So that's what we know.
yeah.
All right, so we got a couple minutes left here, and I want to spend a second kind of talking about what the heck is going on in the world of Magic finance, and really how to keep your game affordable, and how to help you not burn out or feel bad, you know, like emotionally about what the heck is going on in the marketplace. Do you want to kind of start us off here and kind of talk through what's going on?
Yeah, so I have this summer has been really weird in the MTG finance world, specifically in modern. Um, we've been seeing a tremendous amount of buyouts, um, and we made a really good argument. Um, Me and you talked about was whether or not this was a modern lag that prices are finally just starting to go up to the prices that they should be due to the high amount of uh, players moving into the format of modern, or is this just people with a couple extra dollars and with it being summer, I guess spend it all on raising prices of cards. Um, so it's been a very interesting one. I think some of the cards that have spiked definitely are very weird ones. Recently, we've been seeing the shoals from Betrayers of Kamigawa starting to spike in price, which really I've never seen in modern at all
Yeah.
prior to this weirdness. So
Well, disrupting shoal was always good. I mean, there are ways that you can like cheat out guys with cards like that, and if I remember, it's actually banned because of that. But like the green one isn't good. Like it doesn't do anything. Like it gains you some life.
you may remove a green card from your converted mana cost X in your hand from the game rather than pay Nourishing Shoal's mana cost. You gain X life. So you would
Yeah.
remove
Oh.
so I guess this actually works in the right deck, like Goro's Vengeance, where you get rid of an 11 mana card, and World Spine Worm, and you just like gain 11 life. And then you just like, let's return it back to the play. And you just sort of sneak it in a little bit. So that's like a turn 3 World Spine Worm, essentially. It's really cute.
Is it? Am I wrong though? I mean, doesn't it remove it from the game? It doesn't. It doesn't sacrifice it, does it? Does it?
Oh,
I thought it
it's removed from
exiles
the
it.
game. It's removed from the game.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's exiled. That's why this card just doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean,
It'd be awesome if you could just discard it. Yeah, the card would
yeah.
be bonkers. But ugh, it just doesn't do that. So I
But
don't know.
for some reason, it is seeing it went from 46 cents to $9.50.
So this is a conversation I've had with some people, or actually a lot of people who know what the heck is going on in the world of Magic Finance. And the question I had was just the way you explained it. Like, is this kind of the second great awakening of Magic the Gathering Finance, where we're seeing cards that get played, finally that get played in like Modern and Legacy and even in Standard, kind of catch up, to true demand, because we've been hearing about how the game is growing exponentially year over year over year over year, but there was some stagnation, right? As far as the prices of cards go, and cards just weren't going up, even though more players are entering these older formats and buying decks off, and cards offline, and more and more demand into a market with lower and lower supply. We should have been seeing this kind of movement a long time ago. So my question was, is this finally just catching up, or is it people maybe, the very other side of the spectrum is that people are just rampantly buying everything out and throwing tons of money at everything, so they have all the supply, and then relisting it online at like way higher prices. Um, that could happen. That never happens, but it could. I think what's happening here, though, and this is kind of what we want to teach you guys, is that it's a combination of both. So the marketplace really truly is finally catching up to the true demand, of the people who want to play these formats. Like, no question, that is happening. Um, I think there are some major players in the market who are, quote unquote, buying out the copies of some of these more these cards that are in higher demand. They're buying them out across the web and sort of acting as a catalyst for these prices to catch up. So, just like I said before, it was weird not seeing these prices catch up and kind of wondering why. But now, I think it's actually an okay thing that there are players in the market, again, acting as a catalyst to get these prices correcting, right? There's a big difference between between kind of this artificial inflation on a card, or buying out a card to make its price spike, which I think, Corbin Hosser recently released an article about this, and I think most if not all the things he said were correct. Um, but there's a big difference, and you need to know this in your vocabulary, that there's a big difference between a price spike and a price correction. I think what's going on in everybody's mind is they're thinking of all of these cards in Modern that are now becoming very, very much more expensive than they ever were before. They're thinking of these as price spikes in response to people buying these cards out across the internet, instead of thinking the price hikes as corrections, as what the cards are actually supposed to be priced at. We would never see that, though, unless people weren't actually buying them across from the marketplace. Like, you would not see these prices go up and correct unless multiple people were buying them, and the prices would not sustain unless people were, continuing to buy them. Um, and so again, I think it is a little bit of both. I think it is people putting their money into cards they think are good, and not necessarily playing them, but looking for a profit. While at the same time, there are people out there looking to buy these cards because they want to play with them.
And I think you bring up a good point, is that with these cards going up, this, and people are in high demand for these cards.
Yeah.
Modern isn't a set that anyone can just walk in and play. Like, there's a reason why, Tarmogoyf is seeing 3 reprintings that have barely dropped in price,
Yeah.
because it's very high in demand. And if you want to play the best decks, you have to pay the most money.
Yeah.
And I think finally, like, modern as a whole is finally just starting to jump to its corrected price,
Yeah.
and they should be higher because they're older, they're not being printed. And overall, it's just, if you want to play Legacy, it's not like you can just walk out and get all your cards for Legacy. You have to
Right.
spend a lot of money.
And I think as financiers, we have to we have to think for a second about what the heck is actually going on and why it feels like there's so much outcry. And what it is it's the fact that there's so many more players in the marketplace and truly so many more players, period. Right? So when we are the absolute minority, like there aren't that many of us out there compared to, you know, the 99.9% of other people who play Magic who just play the game to play the game, right? So when more and more and more and more and more and more people begin to outnumber the people who are just financiers who get kind of the backlash of this, you're going to hear on volume alone, just by the virtue of there being so many people, you're going to see just in your news feed, in your Facebook feed, on your Twitter, you're going to see more and more people enter the game and say, heck, I want to play this game, but these cards are so expensive. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to complain about it. You're just going to see more of that radio noise, right? You're going to see more of that, almost as a white noise in the background because there's more people playing the game. And those new players, they're going to have the sticker shock. They're going to hear about a thing called Modern. They're going to go look up, MTG Modern deck on Google, find a deck and say, oh, that looks cool. Then they're going to go look up how much the cards cost on TCG Player, and their jaws are going to drop. And then they're going to go to Facebook and Twitter and say, I want to play Modern. I heard it was awesome, but look at the price of these cards. This is crazy, right? And there are so many new players that they're all doing this at once. They're all doing this in a wave. And they're not connected to one another because they're just so spread out. There's so many people that they're all having this experience over and over and over and over again. And we're just seeing it more often than we ever did before. Because more people are playing the game. That's not a bad thing. As financiers, we need to be appreciative of the fact that so many more people are playing the game, so many more people are wanting to buy cards. Like that's a good thing for business, right? Like this is a fruitful hunting season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just to add to the white noise of these new players being upset about the price of the cards, this game is not made that anyone has to join. It's a
Yeah,
luxury to play
totally.
these. Um, so I mean, if you're not willing to spend the money or whatnot, then you can't really get upset about it because there are other options to play. Um, and Wizards really doesn't take into account the price of a card too much because
Yeah,
they
totally.
don't make any money off the price of currently.
Right. They're not interested in the secondary market. They're interested in printing new cards that new players buy and play with. Like that's pretty much all they care about. And you're right. I mean, you have to pay to play. This is. I'm sorry, and I know that there's a very big vocal majority in the world of geekdom that hates pay to play games. Like that's a part of the culture is to kind of have this backlash against pay to play games. I would argue that that's a very okay sentiment to have when it comes to like video games. Like I get that, or like massively multiplayer online RPGs, or things like that. Like I get that. Like it sucks in those kind of games, but I think the one place where it's okay to pay to play is in the collectible card game genre, right? Because the cards are collectible. You know what I mean? You're paying for the better cards, for the rarer cards. That just kind of comes with the territory. So I think as a genre, collectible card games, just by their nature, are necessarily exempt from that, from some of that hatred. And I think it's very difficult for a lot of these new players and a lot of these new geekier people, you know, um, or these people from the geek community as a whole who come into it with, pay to play is bad. Um, they're going to have a lot to whine about when it comes to Magic the Gathering. And that's just how it is. And quite honestly, it's been that way for 25 years. So I don't know why this is anything new, but
Yeah. And it's like you said, with that, with so many people entering it, it's almost like they don't really understand it, and um, they may not. That's the truth of the matter. But
Yeah.
that's not Wizards' fault. Wizards' fault. Goal is to get people into the game and keep them,
Yeah.
not to be upset about price of the cards. They have no control over it.
Yeah, and they make their money in Type 2. They don't make their money in Modern. They don't make any money from Modern. That's why they only want 1 or 2 Pro Tours a year to be Modern. I mean, that's the whole point. Okay, enough about that. I'm really glad we talked a little bit about that. We're kind of running out of time. We had a lot of awesome stuff to talk about this week, and that's super exciting. But before, you know what, Nick, we're gonna save some of your finance stuff for next time because I actually want to make a larger topic out of it. So let's save that because I know you got a lot of cool stuff coming in the mail and you're doing some awesome more puka trading. But before we leave here, let's go through um, our finance picks of the week to help make your game more affordable. So I know you had a really really exciting one, so I'm going to let you go first, and I'll jump in with mine, and we'll wrap up here.
Okay, so my pick of the week is a modern card, and this card was specifically in a feature match with I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it was Amulet Bloom versus uh crap, what was the deck? It was Grixis Control, and Patrick Shaplin was playing it, Grixis Control, and I forget the
Yeah,
other
that deck was
gentleman.
sweet.
And the card that I'm going to bring up is Thragtusk.
Whoa.
Thragtusk is essentially almost at an all-time low. It's at $2.64. It's
Dude, oh my god. You remember that card was $20?
Yeah, $24 is about as high as it ever got, and
Wow.
it's only been gone down to about $2, and the card just wrecked Grixis Control because playing that card, you feel bad, especially in a Amulet Bloom that has Cavernous Holes. Not
Sure.
only can you not counter it, but it hits the field, you gain 5 life, and if you want to get rid of it, oh, here's a 3/3 that just hits the field
Is
too.
it just a beast start? Or is it just a beast, right?
It's just a beast.
Yep.
So $2.64 for a card like this that was at one point in time $24 is crazy, and I feel like
Yeah.
this card could definitely go up. I could see it hovering back around 10. It proved to be a great card in the Amulet Boom deck, and overall it won him the game. And since it's not a legendary creature, you can play multiple copies. Even the foil version of Thragtusk like $9.
That's not
So
bad. Yeah.
I mean, it's still cheap. The multiplier is high on it, but like 250. If you can get it anywhere like in the $2 range, I don't feel bad picking them up, even almost into face value, because it is just such a good card that could easily get bought out overnight, because it was in M13.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's an awesome pick, dude. I haven't even thought about that Tusk for a long time, but and it was in a no, it was in 2 event decks, wasn't it? Or it was in like a
mm-mm.
starter and an event deck or something like crazy.
on on here, it only shows one printing, and that was in M13. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But those,
it
yeah,
may have been in the starting deck, but
yeah,
um, obviously, I don't think that makes much of an effect on the price.
sure.
And I'm going to go ahead and throw a card that's in standard a pick of the week also. I actually made this my pick of the week maybe a month and a half ago. And it's now finally seeing credible, great play, and that is Court of Calling. Um,
Yeah,
it's, they've people have finally realized that Collected Company and Court of Calling is a great combo.
yeah.
Um, you can still buy copies of Court of Calling for under $5. At one point in time, the original Court of Calling from Ravnica was at $40.
Heck yeah, dude.
So essentially it's at nearly an all-time low, and I could definitely see it being bought out. There's currently only 91 versions available on TCG Player, not taking into account all the other conditions besides near mint. And even foil copies are not bad either. You can get a foil copy for $12.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Sweet.
so definitely those will be my two pick of the week. I don't know if you can top the Thrag Tusk pick.
Oh, that one's pretty good. Okay, so my pick of the week, man, that was so good. I can't be nearly as good as that. Um, my pick of the week is Remand from Modern Masters 2015.
Ooh,
Truly is. I was going through Modern Masters 2015 to see one of the biggest mistakes I made was, and I knew better, was the first Modern Masters. There were a lot of really good uncommons that I just had a bunch of because I bought a box and I won a bunch, and like I just had a bunch of the super good uncommons just laying around, right? And I sold a lot of them kind of early. I mean, I still made some money on them. Like I sold a lot of my Path to Exiles. I sold a lot of like the kitchen finks and those kind of things, right? Like I sold them early, but if I would have held on to them, because I didn't really need to sell them, but I knew I was making a profit, so I sold them just because it was there and it was easy to do. Um, so like I was getting like maybe $5 on a Pad to Exile where they're like 8 now, right? Or I was getting like $4 to $5 on kitchen finks where they're 8 or 9 now. So I, knowing that, I went back into Modern Masters 2015 to see, what the heck kind of uncommons matter. And the power level of the uncommons as far as eternal playability is actually really low. The only ones that are really of note are Dismember, Lightning Bolt, and Remand. Lightning Bolt's been printed forever since the beginning of time, so that one is always good to pick up any copy you can, but I wouldn't buy them out. Um, Same thing with like mutagenic growth. I think is okay, but doesn't have a ton of room to grow. Spectral procession, maybe, but not really. Um, Whereas when I look through all of them, Remand was the one card where I'm like, okay, this can again be $11. Like it could easily, like it easily can do that, as especially as more people are entering the the modern metagame. Like that's just gonna happen. You can get them. Let's see. So the old Ravnica versions are still
so high.
about $11. Yeah, but the Modern Masters ones um, are coming in at least significantly lower than that, and you will be able to trade for them in your local area if anyone at all is buying Modern Masters 2015 or if you're drafting it. Yeah, you can get it for probably about $6. I think 6 is a really good place to trade into them at. Um, if you could buy them at like 5, if they just keep going down, because the price graph is just going down and down and down. If you can buy them at 5, I probably would. I would probably put cash on Remands at 5 for sure. Um, yeah, so I mean that's my pick, and those are my reasons, and I'm sticking to it.
I like the pick. Honestly, I like any pick in Modern Mastery that's of value because they're just so low and have so much more upside for them to regain their loss
Yeah,
by the end of the year tops. Blue. I don't know how often Remand's being seen in the control decks,
every deck.
but right now we're in a modern state where everything is essentially perfect. There's no one deck that's winning excuse me, that's blowing away the modern scene. So um, maybe with what's coming in this in Magic Origins, or maybe even Battle for Zendikar, we may see blue take a more predominant stand in the modern scene, and that's going to absolutely raise the price of Remand for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because there's no better feeling than remanding a Delve card.
Oh my God, it feels so good. Feels just like the best thing ever. It really is a good way to combat those pesky Gurmag anglers for sure.
Oh my god,
Ugh.
Gurmag Angler. Oh, crap, that's our garage door.
Oh, I couldn't really hear it.
Okay. Uh, I'm gonna stop. I know where I'm gonna leave off. Three, two, one. And by the way, do you know what a foil Gurmag angler is going for right now?
No, I have no idea.
I was looking at possibly putting one in the cube, and that's $8.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
I
so it's
hope I have one somewhere. That'd be so sweet.
I need one just in case. I think it's good enough to make it in, but yeah, just crazy that but in general, like it feels great to get rid of a counter a delve card like that, and then on
Yeah,
top
it
of that, draw a
does.
card.
just insane. But yeah. So again, that's my pick. I think it's pretty safe. I'm gonna be trading into as many as I can get. So.
Yeah, it's definitely not a card that's going to drop any further.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just, like I said, there's a reason why that's going for $12
No
on
question.
Ravnica versions and before it was reprinted.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's obvious if the other version is $12 and you get these for 5, like I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty wide open. So. Okay, man, we smashed through this. We're a little bit, over time, which is great. I think we had a ton of awesome content to bring to you guys today, and I hope you all really enjoyed kind of our talk about the exciting lookout for Magic Origins and all the cool stuff that's coming your way as far as that goes, and hopefully the tips that we gave you guys for making your game more affordable. Um, Hopefully those tips are useful. I mean, I hope we can explain kind of what's going on so there isn't bad feelings on either side because I know there's kind of a lot of animosity going on right now. But I hope we were able to clear that up just in case you had any doubts in your mind what the heck is going on. Anything else before we wrap up here and save it for next week, Nick?
Um, I guess I would say like if you could find a Modern Master 2015 box for under 200, I think you're making a great deal.
Yeah.
You're making out like a villain.
Yeah, I totally. Yes. I mean, that is an investment to be made. The boxes are never going to be cheaper than that. The cards are definitely going to rebound. It's just a matter of when, not if. So, yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah. And I think that's it for me, man. You got anything else to say before we drive it home?
Yeah, we had an awesome episode, and we cannot wait until next week to get a chance to say hi to you guys again and bring you some new and awesome information. And until next time, don't forget to keep playing better Magic. Thank you.